My name is Chris, and today I'm feeling very sad, and I thought I would try and channel my sadness into something positive, partly to help me process my own thoughts and emotions, but partly just in case it may help you if you are experiencing something similar to what I'm going through at the minute, which is dealing with bereavement, with the loss of a loved one, without relapsing into addiction. That could be addiction to cigarettes, to nicotine, to alcohol, to drugs, to whatever your personal addiction may be. For me, it is mostly cigarettes. If you have seen any of my YouTube videos before, you will know that I normally always share about my experiences with quitting smoking, with adapting to life smoke-free, with breathing in beautiful fresh air and making the most of life as an ex-smoker. However, I did warn you in one video that I've also dealt with alcohol issues in the past, and that this may occasionally surface in videos, which it will today. I'm going to talk about smoking and alcohol. If your addiction is to something different, please replace cigarettes and alcohol with whatever is most pertinent to you. I have now been sober for over 5 years and smoke free for just over a year, but I still have to face life on a day-to-day basis and deal with the challenges. And for me, getting through the loss of a loved one without relapsing isn't the easiest thing in the world to do. So I want to talk a bit about that today. But before I do, I need to give you a little background. I want to tell you a little story which explains why I'm stood here telling you what I'm telling you today. So, many years ago, when I was a lot younger, my parents both worked very, very hard to support myself and my younger sister and my younger brother. So whilst they were out working hard, when we were of an age where we weren't able to look after ourselves, we needed someone to look after us, that person who would look after us was more often than not my maternal grandmother, my mother's mother. She would cook dinner for us, look after us, make sure we got to and from school okay. She played a big part in our upbringing. Fast forward a few years later, when I started high school, my family moved away from the school that I'd started to go to, and I wanted to stay at this school. So I lived with my grandmother Monday to Friday and then went home to my parents at the weekend. So this lady played a big important part in my life, and obviously I was close to her, I loved her very dearly and still do. Funnily enough, I'm smiling, I don't feel any pride in this at all, but the first cigarette that I ever smoked, I stole out of my nan's drawer when I was like 15 years old. Like I said, I was living there, my nan smoked for a while, she stopped way before I did. But every now and again I'd go and steal a cigarette and smoke it outside or something. I'm not proud of it, but I don't think she held it against me. I don't think she was on it, years later holding resentments that I stole one cigarette. So like I said, this lady was an important part of my life. Fast forward another few years, and eventually I drifted into active alcoholism and into life and relationships and all the chaos and debauchery that was such a huge part of my life at that time. And I just didn't see her for a good few years. And every now and again I would feel terrible about it, but I was still drinking and stuff, so yeah. Last summer she took very ill, and we were told, okay, this, she may be getting ready to pass on. And I was told this, I wasn't there, I was told this, that when my grandmother was, in the hospital and she was in a terrible state, but she was lucid enough to speak, she didn't ask for my mother or for my aunt or for my cousin, my brother, my sister. The only person that she asked for was Chris, was me. And when I heard this, my heart sank and I felt terrible and I cried my eyes out and I felt so guilty. And I did everything that I could to make it up. If you watch my earlier videos, I think I mentioned this in the video that I made when I was 100 days smoke free. I might have mentioned it in some earlier ones, but there was a time last summer when I was trying to quit smoking, and I was also trying to manage my business. I'm a freelance writer, I have to work or else I don't get this roof over my head. So I was trying to work full time and then travel to the hospital, which is about an hour away, and then sit with her for as long as I could, and and then get home and get some sleep and try and get some semblance of normality. And oh my goodness, it was too much for me. So I relapsed quite a few times with smoking because it was just an intense period of my life. But I always thought that I was doing okay with the alcohol. Look at me, I'm dealing with this. There's a lot going on, Nan's poorly, work is busy, but I'm not taking a drink, aren't I wonderful? I forgot that the addictive mind can be very cunning and it can be very subtle and it can wait and it can pick its opportunities. My addictive mind always waits till I am vulnerable, then puts me in a situation that I was totally not expecting that will freak me out. And it did it last summer, excuse me, last summer when I was on my way to the hospital, and it had been a couple of days since Nan had gone into the hospital, and I was walking up there. It was, like I say, it was a summer's evening, and I walked past a pub, and the pub door was open, and there was this smell of stale beer and warm air mixed together. To you that might sound disgusting. To me, saying it now, it sounds disgusting. But when I walked past this, I was vulnerable. My addictive mind kicked in, went, smell that, breathe it in, doesn't it smell good? My mind went, oh yes, that smells good. I knew there and then I had to get out of that situation as quickly as I could. Because it's one thing to think that smells good and then dismiss it and go back to the hospital. If I'd have let that fester, it would have been, that smells good, let's go inside and smell more of it. I might as well go to the bar, I might as well get a drink, I might as well, oh shit, I am drunk. Then I'm drunk and then I'm smoking again. And then I've undone all my hard work. And the truth of it is that if I had drank that evening, it wasn't going to make the situation any better. It wasn't going to make my Nan better. It wasn't going to get her out of the hospital. All it would have done would be to make things worse for everyone, because I would have been in no fit state to go to the hospital, and then if anything would have happened, I would have been riddled with guilt again. So I had to walk away, and then there are things that I do when my addictive mind kicks in, and I had to do those, talking to people, going sitting with people that I know and love, and they know me, and they'll let me just blurt out, a bit like I'm doing to you now, except usually with more tears and swear words. So I got through that situation. Nan improved, she went home, I picked up the amount of times that I would see her, I was able to quit smoking, and you guys have been here for the rest of my journey since then, up to a couple of days ago. So then we come to this week. and I knew this week was going to be busy. Got a lot of work to do. I wanted to come and make a video, not this video, but on a different subject. I'll do that some other time. You know, it was basically a case of I've just got to pull my pants up and get my head down and get on with it. And then Nan took ill again. And we were told the same thing, she may not make it. Everybody dived down to the hospital. So, I tell you something, my Nan picks a moment, she waits till I'm really busy with work and then gets me to go. So I've been going down for the last few nights, and last night I just had the most heartbreaking, soul-crushing evening. I went up to the hospital last night. It had been a busy day for me, and I went as soon as I was able to. Sat with my Nan for a while. She was asleep but sort of drifting away, and I sat, and my aunt was there, and my aunt had been there a long time, and she was falling asleep, and my Nan was in a ward, a hospital ward, with lots of other people in a similar situation, lots of people who were nearing the end of their life, and a lot of them were scared. They were crying out for help, they were just crying, you know, they were in pain, they were sad, they were lonely, and it really upset me, even more than being there and watching my own Nan get to the point of being ready to pass on. Being surrounded by all these people who were reaching the end of their life, it really broke my heart and brought a tear to my eye. Especially then when I was walking home, walking back to head home, and I passed, you know, homeless people on the street, and it really made me think about how sad the world is. My heart was crushed, and I won't lie, I thought about smoking and drinking, because I was just, all my senses were just flaring up, and oh my goodness, I was so sad, and I didn't know whether I wanted to shout at somebody, to lash out, to hide away, and I felt like I needed something to sedate me. But again, I have to play the tape through when I start thinking about maybe I'll go and buy a packet of cigarettes, or maybe I'll nip into this pub that I'm walking past. It wouldn't help. At one point, the first thought when I thought about cigarettes was I thought about you. I thought about you watching this and the journey we've been on together so far over the last couple of months, and all the talking that I have done and sharing my experience with you about how much better my life is without a cigarette. I had to remember those things, and remember that, you know, if I smoked a cigarette, I'd have to come and make a video and tell you, do you know what, forget everything I've said, because it's, you know, it didn't work. So you helped me in a weird way, especially those of you who have left comments on my videos, you know, so that I know people are actually watching this. And I thought, I can't go back now, and, you know, so I'll stick it out for that. I'll stick it out because a cigarette is not going to wake my Nan up. A cigarette is not going to, you know, make all those old people in that ward suddenly feel better. It is not going to find a bed for the homeless people. It is not going to stop the rain or turn a red light to green. If I go into a pub and have a drink, that is not going to make my Nan better. It is not going to make all those old people better. It is not going to stop the rain or turn a red light to green. All it is going to do is sabotage me, so that I will be in no fit state to go and be supportive and be there with my family when, you know, when we all need each other. So now ain't the time. Besides, I think I shared this in another video. I lost a good friend of mine over the summer months, and I also lost my grandfather on the opposite side. So my father's father, whereas we're talking about my mother's mother today. I lost both of those, and it occurred to me very clearly that I'm not going to use their memory as an excuse to abuse myself, because smoking and drinking, smoking is, for me, self-abuse. Drinking as a recovering alcoholic is self-abuse. I'm not going to use their memory as an excuse to harm myself, because those were people that loved me and I loved them. So I ain't going to do that. You know, so it wasn't an option, but I have still got to get through that feeling of just feeling terrible, and like I just need something to sedate me right now, because oh my god, I cannot deal with this sadness. I went home, I had something to eat, I watched some comedy on YouTube, just something to try and put a smile on my face to make me laugh. I like watching comedy, especially late at night before I go to sleep, just to, whatever's happened in the day, if I can just laugh a little bit, I feel a lot better. So I did that. And then I fell asleep about 1 o'clock this morning. I was still asleep and just about coming round, about 8:45 a.m. this morning. Ready to try and just get some semblance of normality into my life. My home was a mess. I had work to catch up on, you know, because it's been such a busy week with being back and forth at the hospital. At 8:45 a.m. this morning, what woke me up was my mother calling me to say that her mother had passed away. My nan had passed away this morning, and my mum was in tears, and I was just like, okay, I don't know what to do. Give me 10 minutes to get up and get some pants on, to just chuck some coffee down me, and we'll get to the hospital. So that's what I did this morning. Went straight to the hospital, and I'm telling you a bit too much here, but my mum and her sister don't get on, so there were arguments and things, and I didn't want any, you know, I'm not emotionally capable of dealing with arguments. I just want to go and say goodbye to my nan and grieve, and we can deal with all the other shit later on. Just let me grieve. So yeah, so while I was in there with, you know, my nan had just passed, I just spent some time with her, talking to her, stroking her hair. You know, I gave her a kiss. I felt really sad, but I also felt okay, because I felt grateful to have this time, you know, to say goodbye properly. And then it was so difficult right at the end of, you know, the time that we had. I just leaned over and gave her another kiss and said, okay Nan, I've got to go, I love you, and I'll see you later. And then I left, and the minute I got out of that ward, oh my god, all my emotions just welled up from somewhere in the pit of my soul, and I was just like that. You know, I literally like buried my face in my hands, and I just had to sort of like wipe them away. And it wasn't that I was embarrassed to cry. I don't think there's any shame in crying at all. It's just that I knew it wasn't gonna, this wasn't a full-blown tear attack, it was just overwhelming emotion. I got a little bit further down the corridor and the emotions took over again. Just every kind of emotion, just all at once, whoosh! And I was just had to wipe them away, and I was just, you know, I was like that on the wall for a while. Just, you know, just trying to compose myself. And I didn't think about alcohol, but I certainly felt like smoking. Oh my goodness. Again, I needed something to sedate me, to calm me. My nerves were shot, my emotions were all over the place. I felt fragile and yet volatile, angry and yet at peace, sad and yet happy that Nan no longer is in any pain, that she's, you know, in a better place. and I didn't know what to do, and I felt so strongly like I wanted a cigarette this morning, and I had to reach deep and dig into the tools, all the kinds of things that we spoke about before. I had to go back and think about how grateful I am that I no longer smoke. This is going to make me sound horrible, but it's not me that's in a hospital bed today. I've got a full life that I can live. And one day I will be in a hospital bed, crying, scared, and facing the end of my days. I want to, when I get to that point, to be able to look back and realise that I lived a full life. And as I've spoken about many times before, I cannot live a full life whilst smoking, because I don't have the lung capacity, I smell too bad, I don't have the money, I'm not healthy enough. For me, I only truly started living when I stopped smoking. So that wasn't an option. I couldn't smoke either because I've been making these videos and telling you, look, not smoking is great, and it is. So if I'd smoke, what an absolute hypocrite. So again, you guys being there and commenting and subscribing on these videos really, really helped me out today, and I cannot thank you enough for that. I couldn't smoke because why would I disrespect the memory of somebody I love so very dearly? I'm going, okay, you've died. I've worked so hard to be smoke free, but now you have died, so I'm going to use your memory as an excuse to pick up a cigarette and then take me all the way back to square one. I ain't going to do that because I love you too much. It would be disrespectful of me to use someone's death as an excuse to pick up a cigarette, to pick up a drink, to drug, to overeat, to gamble, to cheat on a partner. It would be inexcusable to do those things, so I didn't. But just because I don't relapse, just because I avoid the relapse, and bear in mind I've only avoided that relapse so far today. I'm avoiding it now by talking to you. When I'm done here, I'm going spending time with my friends because I have to protect myself at all costs today. I've totally forgotten what I was just about to say. That was it. Because I have avoided a relapse doesn't mean I avoided the emotions and that sense of being overwhelming that made me want the cigarette in the first place. I am now left with this, and I am raw, and I am vulnerable, and I've still got to get through it. And that's the tricky part. The trickiest part of recovering from any addiction is not the recovery itself, it's learning how to deal with things like losing your grandmother, or someone you care about, without having to resort to picking up a cigarette or a drink. If you'll pardon my language, it is fucking tough. But it can be done. I've done it so far today. I'm not out of the woods yet, but I know that it can be done because I've done it before and other people have done it too. My grandfather passed away just a couple of months ago. That broke my heart. I didn't smoke, I didn't drink. My friend Dave passed away over the summer, and I still think about him often, and I still miss him dearly. And my heart still hurts when I think about him, but I don't drink and I don't smoke. I find other ways to process my emotions. I come and talk to you like I'm doing now. I get a journal and I write it down. I go and phone my friends, I go and hang out with my friends, I get on my mountain bike and I go for a ride in the, around the Pennington Flash, which is over there, which is just a beautiful place. Clear my mind, I could go and meditate, I could listen to music, watch some comedy, it makes me laugh. And when I laugh, I don't feel as sad and I don't feel as overwhelmed, and therefore I don't feel like I'm going to relapse. There is no magic cure, no magic solution. It's just getting through it a day at a time. If I can't get through it a day at a time, I can get through it an hour at a time. I just have to know that no matter what state I get myself into today, smoking, drinking, drugging, whatever, doesn't change a damn thing. If I were to go out and smoke now, it would not bring my nan back from the dead. It would not prevent the arguments that happened between family members this morning. It wouldn't even get rid of the feelings that I am feeling. The sadness, the overwhelming emotion. It wouldn't get rid of those. You know what it would do? It would pile a whole bunch of guilt on top of them. Because now I'm grieving for the loss of my grandmother, plus kicking my own ass because I've just spent a year not smoking and telling you how great it is, and now I'm smoking again. I've, chucked all that out of the window. There's all that guilt and shame and remorse. On top of that, I'm going to feel even worse, and then I'm going to go, oh God, I feel so much worse. What am I going to do? I'm going to smoke again, or I'm going to drink, or whatever. It is not the answer. The answer is stay close to the ground, stay close to people who love me. Find strangers I've just met on YouTube. Talk to you guys. Relax and recover a bit at a time. I'm starting to waffle now, so I'm going to be quiet and to leave you. Please, first of all, if you are dealing with bereavement, my heart goes out to you. I know how painful it is. But if you are dealing with bereavement and you're also quitting smoking, or you're getting sober, or whatever it is, please find another option. Because a drink won't bring a dead person back. It won't change your red light to green. It won't make the rain stop or bring the sunshine out. All it will do is make you feel worse. That is it. You might get a moment of feeling better, and then you will just feel worse. I promise you, I've been there. And I don't want to go there again, and I don't want you to have to go there again either. Which is why we're hanging out today. But that's all I've got for you. Thank you so very much for watching. Thank you for all your comments and for subscribing. Again, you've helped me out today, because I know that you're on the other side of this camera. Knowing that you're there and that we've communicated in the past helped me avoid doing something stupid when I was vulnerable today. And I'm allowed to be vulnerable, and I'm allowed to be sad, because I'm human. I don't feel ashamed of what happened today. I feel proud that I wanted a cigarette and didn't have one. So thank you so much. If there's anything I can do to repay you, just say the word. I'd love it if you haven't subscribed already. Please do. The button is, I'm in a new location, I can't figure out my left and right. Let's say it's down there. It may be down there. I think it's down there. You can also follow me on Twitter at SmokeFreeLiving. I'll post some links down there about articles I've written, other videos you might find interesting. Thank you. I will see you next time.